What happens when you cross the best of Power Rangers with the bloodiest, goriest aspects of Troma? You get the incredible PSYCHO GOREMAN. That's what? A splatter-fest that's equal parts horror and comedy with a bit of 90s era nostalgia thrown in. Welcome to the Scare Guy Show, everybody. A place to celebrate horror films, events, and all things that are scary fun. This is our very first Scare Guy Show of 2021, and this week we are privileged to be speaking with Matthew Ninaber, the star of this galactic bloodbath. Matthew, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. And we have a couple of other hosts joining me today. Luke.
Hey, it's Cheeseman here, media director of thescareguy.com.
Hey, everybody, it's me, good old buddy Ben Cleaver, coming to you from my home office here in Los Angeles. Regular contributor for the Con Guy, the Scare Guy, that hashtag show, etc., etc., etc. And I'm stoked to be here because I loved PSYCHO GOREMAN. It was awesome.
And our special guest today, Matthew Ninaber. He is a writer, a director, and an actor known for such films as Transference, Extraction Day, and The Last Run, all of which he directed, and of course, the awesome PSYCHO GOREMAN, which I'm going to tell you, Matthew, I'm sorry, it surprised us. We didn't know what to expect, but wow, this was.
Hey, it surprised me. I didn't even know what I was getting into. So,
well, let's tell everybody what's about real quick. After unearthing a gem that controls an evil monster looking to destroy the universe, a young girl and her brother use it to make that monster do their bidding. But the siblings don't realize, what they don't realize is that because of this new monster, their small town is now the target of intergalactic assassins. Crazy B-movie chaos ensues. And hey, I just got to ask you, Ben, what was your first impression? Because we had no idea what we were getting into. What was your first impression of watching this?
Well, so I had actually seen the trailer for the movie a few weeks earlier, before that hashtag show, and Junior Felix asked if we wanted to possibly do an interview and you know, watch it early. And so I already kind of knew what we were getting into, because I remember watching the trailer about, like I said, like a month ago or so, and being like, what is this? I must see it. And I didn't really know like what the release was going to be, if it was going to be digital or in theaters. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And so when Junior calls me up and he's like, hey, do you want to watch this movie PSYCHO GOREMAN and interview the actor from it? I was like, yes, 1,000 times yes. And so I did, and I was not disappointed. You know how sometimes you go into, and it lived up to every expectation I had and more. It was amazing.
Absolutely. So Matthew, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your career, and kind of how you got involved with this film?
well, like everybody on this movie, just love movies, just grew up wanting to be an actor, a director, a writer. Anything to be on set really is kind of my, MO. My agent called me and said, hey, I have an opportunity for you. Steven, who's an upcoming director, has done all these special effects. He's working on another movie, and they need a monster. And I was just like, whatever I have to do to get into this movie, I'm going to do. So I took the script, I ripped it apart, and just really tried to nail the monster. And little did I know, I had this role because nobody else wanted to get into the suit. The suit, I didn't realize, was the worst thing you could ever. You're wearing whale's blubber. It's all vacuum sealed. It's an actual horrible experience being inside this thing. And I'm pretty sure the reason I got chosen to be PG is because all the other actors knew how bad it was. I was just that naive guy who just wanted to be on set and make a movie. And that's how I got part of this film. So, yeah.
Cool.
Wow. Yeah, well, and that's an experience you share with many actors who've done superhero movies over the years. You look back at you see interviews with Michael Keaton talking about Batman, and especially a lot of those 90s era superhero movies where they're just like, I was wrapped in non-breathable latex, and it was just gross. So
yeah, you hear the stories and you think people are just being dramatic. You're like, come on, just suck it up. But then you get in here. I'm like, I didn't have a pee hole, did not have a poop hole, didn't get to eat, was taking like you know, Imodium to make sure I don't have a bowel movement. I actually had one day on set, I'm like, guys, I think I have diarrhea coming. And they're like, oh, we just started. I just took 3 hours to get into this suit. We just filmed one scene. I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom right now. And it's like ripping off a suit, trying to get it down to your ankles. And I just barely made it to the bathroom. So being in this thing is, and like, if I didn't make it, I would have lived in that. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. It's like wearing hockey equipment, and it just keeps, like, the stench of yesterday just keeps building and building and building, and the aroma. And when they open it up at the end of the day, the makeup people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, I feel like people need to talk more about how bad it is so that you appreciate those movies where, you know, you get creatures who just, anyway. So it actually made me appreciate like Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy and all these films so much more being in this movie. So, yeah.
All right. Big Doug Jones fan then.
Yes.
So where are you from originally, and where did you film this movie?
So I'm just outside of Toronto in Canada. I actually live in Mennonite country. So there's really no film industry where I am. Like, Mennonites literally drive by my front porch all the time. And so I had to drive in. I did the audition remote, and then this was filmed on studio in Toronto, and then in Niagara Falls area, which is just across from Buffalo in the States. So they had old metal, like it was like a metal town called Welland, and a lot of factories have just gone out of business, and they're just sitting there, just decaying. Really beautiful sets. Yeah, it's actually a sad place to go film a movie because everything's just kind of dying. But the hotel that we stayed in was just not a nice spot at all. So just picture like a town that is on its way. Anyway, I don't want to say anything, but they're great people there. Great people, just no financial opportunity. And that's the backdrop for PG. So
wow, no, that's hilarious. I'm most likely related to everybody who lives near you because I am in fact a Mennonite from Kansas.
There you go. A lot of Martins here.
Yeah. There you go.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about like your first impressions of the script? And there's so much like comedy and just fun in it. Like, what was your first impressions, and how'd you go about like playing the character?
Just reading through the script, I was just I'm like, wow, like one second you think it's going to be serious, and then it's making fun of itself, and then it's constantly flipping things on its head. And the first time through it, you're just like, what is going on? And like, you read about the alien council, you're like, how are you going to do this? And there's a guy's head in a jar. Like, you have to remember, reading this thing was so absurd. And I'm like, I don't know if I get it. Like, I honestly, and then when they got to like this outfit, when they're talking about how he's going to dress up and be a Jurassic Park character, I'm like, I am so lost. Like, so I'll be honest, the first time I read this script, I'm like, I feel like people have to be on drugs to really understand this movie. Like, this is going to take you down into a parallel universe, and it's going to all make sense, but you need some substance to take you there. And then when you're on set, you're like, yeah, this is completely trippy. Like, there's literally a guy in a jar, like, just talk, he's just crazy. Like, I don't know how you come up with this stuff. So yeah. But I just wanted to be a monster, so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
But the thing, it was so funny though. Like, so much of the you talk about the guy in the jar, and then and myself and Luke, we were talking yesterday about the policeman. I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah,
but there's a character that is so stinking funny with the way his story plays out, and we just were like, oh my gosh, it was so great.
And that was probably the part that made me, like, again, being in the suit was like rough, but like with him on set, I was just laughing so hard all the time. I'm like, who is this guy? And again, I don't want to give it away, but there's parts where he's just like when he sends his note in, I'm just trying to keep it together on set. I'm like, this is so freaking absurd. This is funny. So yeah, I don't even know, when people ask me what genre this film is, I'm like, I feel like there needs to be, this is its own thing. It's such a unique film. And yeah,
cool.
Well, that was a big part of it. I watched it first, and then Jim and Luke watched it like the next day. And I was like texting them while I was watching it. I was like, this is the wildest combination of like, literally like the Power Ranger show from the early 90s with just like the Japanese costumes and And then Jim brought up Troma. If you remember Toxic Avenger and all those movies,
Yeah.
it just wild stuff. And the fact that it was so tongue in cheek and it was so committed to being what it was and so committed to not taking itself seriously. It was just so much fun.
And that's the thing that I'll be honest, reading the script, I'm like, is this the right choice? Like, I was like, this is just, it's making fun of itself. Like, this is supposed to be like, there's a fight scene and it's supposed to be this epic fight scene. And then you cut to one of the characters and they're like, is this going to go on for a while? And I'm just like, what? So you're right. It doesn't take itself seriously. And it's, Steven really knew what he wanted to do. And you just had to trust him. It was like, okay, it's in your head. Let's go. So, and that's really what it was, is we all went on a journey with Steven. So
Awesome.
Now, can you talk about him as a director and what it was like working with him?
So Steven is he's a very unique person. Like, I just completely, I don't like genius. Like, you go to like the audition process. I ended up showing up at his studio, his apartment with the other producers, and his whole living space is just all the people that inspire him, all the villains, all of the characters, and he's got all these projects on the go. Like, he's claymations and just little things, and then he's playing like some video game. Like, he's just a very unique person. And getting on set, he built all the monsters. Like, all the monsters you see in this film is him just coming up with, and that in itself, like, just take directing out of it, take writing out of it, just building these monsters would have been enough. But he's doing the directing and like the shot and all the other stuff on top of it, and it was amazing to see. So working with Steven was really great, and just seeing how he created these characters, and he's on set just like, helping fix them up, and he'll get right in there. Like, his love for these creatures, I think, really comes through. So, and it was really fun to see somebody who just refused. Like, obviously there was CG in this film, but for the most part, it's like what we shot on the day is what was designed, and like, it's what the camera saw. So many practical effects, and I think that just made it so much fun to be on. Like, you're not pretending to interact with stuff, except for the opening collage where we destroy galaxies and all that stuff. That was on green screen. But other than that, it's a very grounded but not grounded film at all. And yeah. And that was just that was a lot of fun to be part of.
So could he be like the next James Gunn?
He's gonna be his own thing. Like, I'm telling you, like, he is such a big, like, an interesting person. And yeah, I don't even want to compare to him. He is his own guy. So yeah.
Wow. Oh man. So you mentioned this a little bit earlier. You were saying, how many hours did it take you to get into the suit and get camera ready?
Yeah, so it depended on the day. The first time you get into the suit, you're buckled in, and they're really just tailoring it to you. So they did a body cast, and then when we finally did the final fitting, it took about 3.5 hours to get the gloves, to fine-tune everything. They actually had to take a zipper out, put a different zipper in, and like the shoulder pads, they were having problems with that. So I was in the chair for 3.5 hours for the first time, and then they started getting faster. There's some days that, heck, we got it down to 45 minutes. It's like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. But then there's other days, like after fight scenes, where the whole suit was just destroyed, and they had to put it on me and then just fix it, rebuild it, and then you're just stuck. And you can't move. You just stand there. You basically hold on to sticks, and then they just glue you and put you back together. And we'd watch movies while it's happening. I think I watched Swallow. We watched a bunch of films and just random things. And yeah, most of my time on set was just watching movies.
I absolutely love, and I think we kind of were talking about this. I love how everything, so as much as possible, it was practical costumes, practical effects. But I've got to wonder, like, you have these kids on set. Did they love, or were they repulsed by the amount of blood and gore? Because kids sometimes love that stuff. And this little girl, I tell you what, she's going places. She was
Yeah.
great.
So, like, first of all, they casted great kids. Like, both Nita and Owen were fantastic. I didn't even know Nita's name until the end of it because she showed up and introduced herself as Mimi. Like, she was Mimi. Like, she didn't talk to anybody outside of her character name.
She was amazing.
And how she was on screen was the exact same she was off screen. So she was the life of the party. I'll be honest, we all worked for her. Like, that was a crazy experience, and like they were all in it. Like there's times that we're shooting to like 5 a.m. and they're just going, and I'm like, how do you guys have energy? Like, there's a scene that I'm on the couch. I actually fell asleep 4 times in this movie, and one of them was like in the warehouse. You'll see they wrapped me in a blanket, and partway through a scene, I'm out. I just totally went to sleep. Like, Matt, you're snoring. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, guys, but these kids just kept on going and going and going. I'm like, oh, I don't. And the thing is, they knew their lines. They knew everybody else's lines. They knew the stage directions. If I didn't know what was going on, I just went to one of them, and they would tell me what's going on better than anybody else would, which was. So they just sucked it up and or soaked it up is a better word. And it was really, really great just working with them. I think they did a great job casting Owen and Nita. And I do think both of them are going to go places. Owen was like just that reserved and just kind of grounded things. And Nita was just so big. She was just that kite that was just flying in the air and just dragging everybody along. And truthfully, she's the real monster of the movie. I'm not the monster. Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Now we're discussing this obviously midst of a worldwide pandemic. Theaters aren't really showing a lot of films.
Yeah.
You know, some are, some aren't. This is an independent film to begin with, so it wasn't going to get like worldwide blockbuster release necessarily, although it deserves it in my opinion. So when did you film this? Did the pandemic at all affect the filming schedule, or was that all after you guys filmed that? And
no, the pandemic. So they were in post-production when the pandemic hit. So yeah, we had it wrapped before all this broke out, and then we actually. I think the biggest thing that the pandemic did to it is it slowed down just the release of it, and then they just didn't know how to release it. That was the big question. It's like, what do you do? Like, all the film festivals, like a movie like this needs the festival tour, and it needs that audience to really champion it. And I think we just got to a spot where it's just like, well, what do we do? And then it's done. We need to release it. So it's really in the hands of people who really enjoy it. And this is the type of movie that you either really like it or you're just like, what the did I just watch? And there's no real in between. And even some of the producers are just like, what did we make? People are going to hate this. I'm like, no, it's good. It's okay. It's okay. Because some people thought like, anyway. So it really is in the hands of the people that love this film. And I think the people that love it will love it enough that it will see an audience and it will get appreciated, and that's encouraging. So
now you had to have a lot of fun on set, because I mean, with all these characters, all these people in costumes. Now, did you guys like goof around on set behind the scenes, or how'd you get in character and get all this kind of dynamic between all of the characters in these costumes?
Well, I'm not the right person to ask because PG is pretty miserable. So
yeah.
Well, I'll speak to the other people. Yeah, they had lots of fun. Anyone who was not in a suit had a blast. Like everybody was joking around. I think the only monster that was consistently joking around would be the cop. And he was pretty funny. I think the first 2 days I had energy, and then Steven was just like, listen, you're in this for 32 days. You need to manage yourself. When you're not on, shut down. So I basically turned into a robot. It was time to act. It's like turn on. And then when it's time to not act, it's like, okay, I'm going to my corner. I'm sitting and I'm just going to meditate and go to a different place until it's time to bring PG. Because again, it's like wearing like 100 elastic bands. So like moving is like, everything just takes so much more work. And also nobody knew who I was. Like on a side note, I showed up halfway through production and my call time was after lunch. And I've always shown up before everybody else and I leave after everybody else. So I tried to get on set And one of the grips like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "What? Like, this is a closed set. You can't. Who you with?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Who I'm PG." Like, what? And I'm like, yeah, nobody see me outside of this suit. So the way I had fun is I just scared people. Like, if I wasn't sleeping, I would go and hide in a closet, or when we're filming in Welland, I would just hide behind like vehicles out in neighborhoods. And I would always keep a walkie-talkie with me so they can call me when it's my time. I just scared the crap out of people, because PG's not too scary if you know he's coming. But if you have no idea, yeah, I am terrifying, especially at night. So I scared the crap out of every crew member. But then after that, I'm like, I need to just scare regular people. And Stephen wasn't too happy about that. He's like, they're going to take a picture of you. It's going to leak on social media. You can't. I'm like, dude, they're going to be running when I'm done with them. And that was usually what happened.
Oh my gosh.
I've got to ask, do you have any videos of you scaring people?
No, because I can't use phones.
Oh no.
I have no pictures or anything. I'm like trying to use a phone with my like monster hands and it's not working. I'm like, this whole period of my life is undocumented from my point of view. Someone sent me a picture. I don't know. It didn't happen.
This is unheard of, because I have a Scare Jim channel with Jim up there on Instagram called Scare Jim. So if I was on set with you, I'd be following you around everywhere, just getting prank videos. That's all I'd be worrying about.
So much fun.
But let me follow up on that question. I see that you have the mask, the PG mask there. Was this, first question, was this built for you? Like, did they sculpt it around your head? Okay.
So I went in and did a full body cast, and it's all like molded onto me. And now I wear this for Halloween. And other parents just think I am an awful human being because I take Halloween seriously. Everyone else is dressed up as Mario, and I'm dressed up as like a real monster with blood coming down my mouth, and I'm terrifying little kids, which I take joy in. So I just, anyway, but frowned upon. So.
No, that's what I was going to ask you. So now that you got to take it home, so I was about to ask you if you wear it. Do you ever wear it, and are you scared? Do you get to scare people now?
I do get to wear it. So I don't take it out as much, because the mask, like it gets like 3 to 4 wears on set, and then after that it starts tearing. So the more I put it on, the worse it gets. And I'm at the place where it's like, okay, it's going to be a mantelpiece, and it just stays there. So. But yeah, I've worn it and just scared the crap out of people. I chase my kids around the house, and they're still terrified of it, which I don't know if that makes me a bad parent. I think it makes them stronger, being afraid. So
PG's in the closet. Just
exactly, So
now, speaking of the suit and it being built for you, PG is obviously a very menacing presence.
Yeah.
How big a boy are you?
I'm only 6'1". I'm not that low angles. Yeah, low angles. So,
okay.
Wow.
Tom Cruise boots, just
yeah, 6'4" with those on.
Yeah,
those babies.
So. But compared to kids, I'm a giant, so I think that's why it works.
Let me ask you this: how did you guys promote the film? Like, did you do the film festival thing? Because I know they're kind of shut down, but they have digital festivals and online festivals. Because it won Audience Awards, didn't it?
It did. And we did do, again, as everyone was trying to figure out this online film festival and how it worked, we did after parties, we did Q&As, we did whatever we could. Like, anytime there was a request, it's just like, all right, this is the only way we're going to be able to hype it. So we did the festivals we could. We did a couple in Canada as Europe started to open up. They had festivals there, and we would Skype in or Zoom in and try to do whatever we can to promote it. But again, the reason that this film is doing well is because the audiences are like, yo, you gotta check just exactly what happened here. It's like, yo, you need to watch this movie. And I think this movie is actually really important. It's coming out at a right time where people just need a little joy in their life in a dark way. And I do think, even though traditionally be a bad timing for it to come out, I think it's actually a great time for people just to laugh and just not take anything too seriously. And I think they just need that break just with what's going on. So
yeah, we need more of these movies.
Yeah, I know it was definitely what I needed. Like this was, because of the way we received the screeners, I had to watch it here in my office because I was gonna put it on the TV out in the living room and watch it with my wife. But I'm gonna watch this again because I think it's on. Here's a good question. Where do you know this is releasing? I think it's Apple TV. It's coming out on Shudder.
Yeah, it's the Shudder release is later, so it's on demand. So iTunes has it. Oh man, Draft House has it. There's it's actually on a lot of places right now. But the Shudder streaming is, I think, in a month or two after it does its release that way. So, and then it is in theaters some places, and then some theaters are offering in-home experiences. So it's different. It's a little different here in Canada. I know you guys have more options in the States. So,
all right. Well, I know that we're kind of like coming to the end of the interview here, but the thing is, it was in select theaters here in the States, only about 45, and it's averaging right at 1,000 per theater, which is pretty good, especially in these times when hardly anybody's going out.
Yeah.
That shows you it's up at 89% of Rotten Tomatoes. Very few films ever reach that high. So
I know.
Thank you. I gotta know though. Has there been any talk about the next adventures of PG?
Oh man, there has been some chats. I'm like, hey, before we talk, I need a butt flap, I need a pee hole, all right, and I need the pee hole. They put a pee hole partway through production. I'm like, I don't know if you guys know your biology, but that's not where a pee hole is. So we gotta go do health class together. But anyway. I'm like, let's get that stuff figured out. But yeah, they've asked me if I would come back as PG, and I love PG. I think PG is such a unique, like he's like a Wolverine, Lobo, just crazy. I don't know, old grandpa character who's just miserable, and I love him. And I'd come back even though the suit is horrible. But now that I know what to expect, I think it's a lot more bearable. Right. But they have some cool ideas, and I like hearing Steven's idea of where to take the character and just the absurdness of it. And again, not taking it too seriously and just mashing the galactic warlord with just human problems on a family level. So I know they're excited and they're coming up with a lot of ideas, and everyone's pestering them. Like, is it a TV show? Is it a movie? What are you guys thinking? So I'm along for the ride. It's Steven's world, and I'm just happy to play in it, because again, this is not something that I could ever think of, and he's truly a genius. So I'm super happy to be on the trip.
Well, that's amazing. Luke or Ben, do you guys have any closing questions before we let Matthew go?
Well, I don't know if I'm stepping on anybody else's toes here, but Matthew, is there anything next for you? Are you looking forward to another project? Obviously, it's a weird time to be doing that. I'm an actor myself. I know there's not a whole lot happening for the broader industry. So is there anything next on your list?
So I'm working on a little action movie. Steven, he's like, hey, I got the body molds. I know you like making action movies. I can make you a monster for your film. So he made me another monster. So during the pandemic, we're filming something very different than what I could never do what Steven's doing. I'm just like, dude, you're on this whole other level. We're doing like a Doom meets Alien kind of small film. And so he's built us some really cool monsters for that. And that's just what we're plugging away at. And it's keeping us busy during the pandemic. We're just trying to make the best. 2020 is kind of a write-off for a lot of actors and a lot of filmmakers. And I'm like, might as well do something to redeem the year. Honestly, seeing PG come out was therapeutic, and just so happy to be part of that. And hopefully we can make another project. So yeah, so the movie I'm working on is called Death Valley. And Steven's just been helping me out with the special effects and just kind of mentoring me through the process, which is just great. So
that's awesome. Are you writing, directing that? Just starring?
Writing, directing, and then every once in a while jumping in the suit. So again, filming during a pandemic, there's not a lot. Like you can only, like in Canada, we can only have 10 people on set for a lot of things. It's like, okay, who do you not invite? Like, are we giving up audio, or are we giving up makeup? Who's not coming to the parties? So it's been an adventure, and but it's looking really great. And again, having Steven build a monster, just absolutely amazing. So
yeah. Well, I'd say my last question would be, taking it back, when did this all begin for you? When did you realize you want to be an actor and especially do these monster things? Was this a childhood ambition of yours?
Oh, yeah. Like I remember grade 10 and seeing Matt Damon. I was just like, oh gosh, I want to be an actor. I like what these guys do. And then, and just the idea that you could just keep playing characters. You don't have to choose a career. You get to be them all. So I can be a monster one time, or I could be a villain here, or I could be a cop there, or I could be, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the, like I get to be everything. So I don't have to choose a career. So that's the hope and dream, and just being able to be a monster, being able to check that off like that. Not many people get to say that. That's freaking awesome. And being an actor is a hard thing, as you guys know. It's a grind, and you're trying to figure it out. And so I was just super happy to create something like this. Like as a kid, I watched Dragonheart, and just watching Sean Connery be a dragon, I'm just like,
I am the last one.
Yeah, I was just like, man, like I want to bring some of that depth into PG and just see what we could do there. A lot of like the deadpan stuff is just stuff I saw, you know, Sean Connery doing growing up. And so it was kind of emotional being able to be able to do that, be part of that, and hopefully create something special for people. So yeah.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Writer, director, actor Matthew Ninaber, thank you for being here today. If you guys haven't yet seen the film, it is available on video on demand, Apple Plus, and it's also in select theaters around the country. Make sure you guys check this out. We want to see the next adventure of PG, Psycho Goreman. We want to give him an opportunity to, you know, have butt flaps and a pee hole for the next film. Thank you so much for coming on today, and we are excited for this film. This is a film that hopefully it does find an audience, maybe even that late night, midnight movie audience that goes on for years, because this is one of those movies that you guys don't know what you're getting into. It's got little kids, but it's as bloody as it can be, and especially when you eat people, man, those scenes are so nasty. All right. Come back anytime. We'd love to have you. Thank you for being a part of the Scare Guys show, and we hope that you guys will also, if you're listening to this, please subscribe. Give us a little bit of a good review so that people can find us. Matthew, we hope to see you soon.
Okay, thanks so much, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.